I'm Johnny B, and welcome back to McKinney ISD Sports Talk. Well, in Class 5A, there are 8 football teams that still haven't handed in their uniforms, and we're happy that one of them is the McKinney North Bulldogs, joined by head coach Mike Fecci. Coach, just an amazing run this season. You know, we talked about it last year, and it's kind of ironic. You and I talked after the game. Kincaid Stadium last year is where the season ended, but it really kind of begun for this team, because you said to those kids who were juniors, now seniors, hey, the bar has been set, and boy, have they answered.
They have. You know, you're right. It was kind of ironic. You and I standing almost in the same place a year later. You know, it was 75 degrees on Saturday this year, and it was about, 15 or 20 degrees last year. But, yeah, that's the case. That's the case. You know, that's where this whole thing began, because that was theoretically the end of last year, and we always, the very next day, starts a new one. And those kids have done that this year.
Talk about a great, interesting comment that Noah Forte said to me after the game that I shared with you. And here's a kid that, you know, if you would have said at the beginning of the season who's going to make one of the biggest defensive plays, maybe his name doesn't come up. But you're not even here if he doesn't make that fumble against Wakeland. He said to me, last year's seniors taught us how to win. This year, we expect to win. Do you feel that from your team?
Yeah, I do. I think that's a progression of a program. That's what you want in a program, is you want somebody to show the way. You got to have your trailblazer, if that makes sense. And I'd even go back further to the group with Hunter Walling and that group of kids, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, that showed Horton and those guys, this is how you get in. And then Horton and them even took it to a different level. And now it's where it becomes, you know, making the playoffs is not a hope. It's not a hope. It's an expectation. And now it's not just a hope that we win in the playoffs, it's an expectation. And that's what you want in a program, is each year that group of seniors and that group of guys to raise that bar, to put their stamp on it, and then the next group to recognize that, respect that, and then work to surpass that. And I think that's what these guys have done.
We haven't seen you in 2 weeks, so let's hop back to the Cotton Bowl. A rainy, kind of mucky day. You're on a natural grass. You got a West Mesquite team, very fast, very athletic, and you guys seem to handle the rain better than they did.
You know, I've had a lot of people tell me that. You know, I think the obvious is we seem to keep our footing a lot better than they did. They were falling down quite a bit, and that helped, obviously. You know, and that's credit to our kids. You know, we're so blessed here in McKinney, Johnny, with facilities. I mean, we've got unbelievable facilities. We got a giant indoor we can go in, and a giant weight room. And a lot of times when it rains, to be honest, we go inside because we can. And I joke with our guys all the time. I call them indoor babies, you know, and you know, they don't ever go out when it's cold. We don't go out when it rains. But, you know, I think that even goes back, because what we talked to them on that game is, hey, you remember last year when we had a cold, wet game and we didn't respond and we didn't answer and we were done? That's what we got to do. Elements are irrelevant, you know, and those guys went out and did that, and they beat a very, very good football team at West Mesquite.
So you go back to Kincaid, like you said, better weather this time, a little windy on Saturday, and you got to take on Lake Ridge. New program, and sometimes that's a dangerous team to face because they don't know how to lose.
That's it, very dangerous. You know, that guy, Coach Thor at Lake Ridge, and I told him before the game, what a phenomenal job he's done. School's been open 3 years. You know, they were 0-10, 2-8, got in at 6-4, and find themselves in the third round of the playoffs 3 years in. And boy, what a bunch of great athletes. You know, their quarterback had they had 2 really good running backs. They had great corners. They're a very, very athletic football team that had beaten a very, very good team in Longview the week before. A lot of people had 9 out of 10 people predicted Longview to win the 5A Division I state title. And those guys went out to Tyler and beat Longview. So we knew they were good coming in, and we knew they were athletic. And early on, you know, at 4 plays into the game, when they're up 7-0, you know, I was kind of like, wow, they're really athletic. And, you know, but our kids answered. They stayed in the fight. They kept playing, and we're able to come out of there with a big win.
Let's go look at some of these highlights again. McKinney North making history as they move on from West Mesquite. And, boy, you talk about Nick Hutchins. You know, he had to respond this year, Coach, because you knew you were going to see 9 people in the box against Ronald, and he really has responded. Here's your defense on a good quarterback, keeping him in the pocket.
Yeah, Matabuke with the big sack there. You know, we did a good job at times of getting pressure on that guy. You know, Hutchins, great play fake. I mean, you can't get much more wide open than that. Great job by Curvin and baiting that, because that's a really good corner from Lake Ridge. He's a very athletic kid. You know, little exit with Ronald here. Then Hutchins makes this guy miss and had a great night. You know, I thought our offensive coaches and our defensive coaches, for that matter, had a really, really good plan for these guys.
On defense again, Jet Duffy, a tough quarterback to keep contained, and boy, you did it there.
Yeah, I did it there. You know, that's the thing, is it was kind of a feast or famine deal. We had to stunt quite a bit to get pressure on that guy, and you know, great play here by Dimitri Parrish coming up right there and making a big stop on a third down. But you know, our defense did a good job, made plays when they had to. Good block by Ronald, and you know, again, another good block by Jomar. Another great block out there by Brendan Harris. You know, I mean, springs it, and then Nick goes to the house.
You talked about that last week to the kids. Don't forget how to keep doing the little things right. And
yeah, this time of year, that's what it's about. It's about momentum. It's about feeling. It's about little details, because everybody playing is good. And it all comes down to those minor details that matter.
Here you are on offense again, and Nick fakes to Ronald, puts it in the air.
Great ball to Kervin. You know, again, Kervin had a really big night for us. Really made some big plays. You know, Nick threw the ball well into the wind and with the wind. You know, like you said earlier, it was really, really windy there. Great job by Khalil Lewis. Great call by Coach Wheelock on the stunt that we overloaded him to one side. It was a big sack.
And as it seemed in the second half, the wind stayed steady. It wasn't just gusting. You just had to deal with it all game.
This is a fun, look at Matabuke's effort right there, and then you watch the effort on these guys coming down the field. And that's a fourth down that they went for it. And stop them 1 yard short was huge. Just a phenomenal effort from everyone.
You can see it's under the lights here now.
Yeah, it's a little later in the night. Again, Hutchins on another big run. Again, look at there's your receivers blocking down the field and springing that guy.
Has he exceeded your expectations, Coach, moving over from safety, of how he's handled everything?
On the quarterback part, for sure. The ins and outs of playing quarterback, the competitive, great job by Ronald. The competitive side of things, the leadership side of things, the way that he does business, we expected that from him. He's an ultimate competitor. I don't know why they filmed this so long. But anyway, again, us bringing pressure. But he's had a great year. You know, great sack by Gifford and Khalil right there.
You know, two kids I think that really have stepped up that don't get a lot of pub, McShane Wyatt and Nathan Gifford.
Yeah, those two got great catch by Kirby. Wyatt made one of the biggest plays of the year, and I'm not sure if it's on this highlight or not. I don't think it is, but they threw a pass all the way back across the field, and kid caught it, and it was just him and Wyatt, and that was it. And Wyatt dropped him. It was a fourth down, dropped him about a yard short. A great open field tackle. Another sack by Matabuke right there. But, you know, just a great job by Wyatt McShane. And Gifford's done well. You know, Gifford gives us a dimension of athleticism in there. Great block by Ronald Jones right there. He put 7 on his back right there and kind of let 7 know that too. You know, but at the same time, this is why Ronald Jones is Ronald Jones right here. This run, he just refused to go down.
You know, and another big play by Ronald Jones that's not on here, there was an interception. And if Ronald Jones doesn't sprint across the field to get there, I'm at 6 points late in the game.
Yeah, you know, and early in the year against Newman Smith, Nick threw an interception, and Ronald had a chance to make a tackle and got kind of stiff-armed. Looked like a running back that doesn't ever tackle. But the other night, you're right, he went and tracked the guy down, made a big play. You know, that's kind of what this time of year is about. It's about kids making plays. It's about little details. You mentioned that earlier. And, you know, we got to continue to do that if we want to keep this thing going, because the competition obviously gets tougher as you move along.
John Tyler, UNT, Friday night. Talk about it a little.
You know, what can you say about John Tyler? Very storied program. You know, have been in the playoffs consistently year in and year out. Got a lot of history there. They got a lot of confidence, and rightfully so. You know, very athletic football team, giant quarterback that can really throw the football. Great defensive line, big offensive line. You know, there's not a kid out there when you look at them, you'll go, look at that kid, he's not a very good-looking kid. They're all really, they dress well. They dress well. They're going to have good-looking kids all over the place. They play great on special teams. I think that's the difference between their team last year and their team this year, is they're a lot better on defense this year, and they play good on special teams, and they use their athletes well. You know, it's a big challenge for us. You know, hopefully being at North Texas University, you know, 45 minutes down the road from us, will be to our benefit with the crowd, because they travel well. You know, they took a whole bunch of people to Waco last week when they beat Rockwall Heath. So hopefully Bulldog Nation will come out and support us, and we'll try to keep this thing going.
Saw a bumper sticker yesterday, and I have to ask how your wife is doing, because it says, we put this marriage on hold for football season. So how has she been holding up through all of this?
Well, she's a veteran coach's wife. You know, we've been married for 16 years, and so she's been through every season with me, and you know, that's the key. You know, Johnny, is not only do I have great coaches, I got great coaches' wives on our staff that understand the amount of time that it takes to be successful. You know, when you're working late into Saturday night. When we got back, we graded that film, stayed up there late, spent all day Sunday up there getting ready for John Tyler. And, you know, it is a giant sacrifice, but at the same time, it's a fun ride for our wives as well, and our kids for that matter. And, you know, and I'm proud of our coaches. I'm very proud of our just North family. You know, everybody's bought in, everybody's all in, and that's what you got to be this time of year.
Still talking football in December, isn't it great? History season. Let's hope it keeps going on.
Thanks, Johnny.
Coach Mike Fecci of the McKinney North Bulldogs. We'll have more McKinney ISD Sports Talk coming up.